Well, a rise in convictions, longer sentences, fewer cases dropped, all milestones the city state's attorney's office is touting from 2024. And joining us to talk about this momentum is Ivan Bates. Good to see you.
Hey, good morning. Good to see you.
When you look at this graph and you look at some of these numbers, it's pretty impressive what you've been able to do. Tell me what attributed to this and what number stands out to you.
Well, you know, it was an entire team effort. When I say team, everyone.
Yeah.
So one of the things that people don't realize, we only had 141 prosecutors when I came into office 2 years ago. We now have 185. So we've hired more prosecutors, but the prosecutors were overwhelmed with body camera footage. Thanks to Governor Moore, his office gave us a $2 million grant for 2 years. We were able to have a whole new division that looks at the body camera footage. So it would have taken a prosecutor 5 hours to prepare one gun case. Now they're looking at 1 hour because the unit has already looked at the body camera footage. We have a victim witness division. We've got money from GOCAP and the governor and a VOCA federal grant that now we have individuals that stay in contact with the victims and witnesses. So we now have a better understanding how to protect them, what to do to make sure we quote unquote stop that stop snitching culture. And we also have a division that writes the briefs and motions for the prosecutors. We've taken all those things that took the prosecutor away from focusing on the court and the case. We've now put them in a position to be successful.
Roughly, I'll give you some rough numbers. I mean, felony gun charges up 200 plus, dismissed cases down 200 plus. Incarcerated is a big one. I think it's a neighborhood of 900 plus. I mean, I think that, so we've gotten the front end. I think some of the concern is the repeat offender. So you've taken care and held them responsible. What happens when they come back out? Do we see them again?
Well, you know, one of the things, we just didn't target anybody. We only targeted individuals that we could tell and see that a propensity for violence. These are the repeat violent offenders. So they received the penalty of 5 years without the possibility of parole, which means we're sitting you down, we're following the data, because we're not going to go back to mass incarceration. We're following the data, holding you accountable on the front end. However, one of the things that I don't think we really talk about enough is the back end. We have almost 1,700 people going to come back into our community. They're our brothers, our cousins, our neighbors, our people we go to church with, their children. They're coming home. But what I knew and learned as being a criminal defense attorney, a number of these individuals, they want to do right. However, they're in the streets, they're caught up. They're not about to change when they're in the middle of being in the streets. They need to make money. They need to do whatever they need to do. When they're incarcerated, they're sitting down, they're reflecting on life. We need to focus on them when they're incarcerated. They're coming home in 2.5, 3.5 years, 1,700 people. At that moment in time, do they have their GED? What is their plan to come home? Do they have job training, job skills? When we're able to focus on them, that's how we do this. I look at my tenure as 4 quarters. We've done the first quarter and the second quarter. I mean, going into the third quarter. We've done pretty good, but the game is far from over. We have so much more work to do.
I'm going to take you back to the first half of this game. And part of the first half is teammates. And I think that the partnership with BPD must have made some sort of difference because prior to that, I don't know if that same relationship existed. So what changed, do you think?
Well, look, the men and women of BPD have been doing the job. I remember the mayor used to say back in 21 and 2022 that his police officers were making the arrests, and clearly they were. They arrested almost 2,200 individuals for illegal handguns, violent felons with handguns. And in the past 2 years, it's been 2,400. They're risking their life doing the job, and that's been a huge aspect. But just working a lot closer, Commissioner Worley having that relationship, our executive teams meet, but also U.S. Attorney Eric Barron has been a phenomenal partner. When we look at these 1,700 convictions, at least 100 to 200 are from him and his office because we've given them a letter. We've talked to the defendants to say, hey, if you don't take our file without, you go federal. And then the U.S. Attorney's Office took 135 cases from us. We also have to look at ATF, the work they've done. Everybody's been a part. You look at Monzi and with the work that they've done, the governor, the mayor. This has been a total team effort, and we have been moving the ball forward as a team.
Well, one thing you've been working on, and the number is big, but I think we should talk about it, is the number held accountable, which I guess sort of went through the roof, 1,100 plus. One thing that I think citizens want people to be held accountable for are quality of life crimes. I think we handled some big stuff well, but windows being broken, or carjackings, or things that make people think, do I want to still live in the city? Is that still something, where is that on the radar for you?
Well, you know, we had a citation dock, and we still have a citation docket. However, we did not have the number of citations needed to keep that docket open. We were 3 times a month. However, ourselves and the court, we sat down and discussed it. Now we're going to move it back to once a month. However, we're sitting down, still talking to Baltimore City Police Department, saying, hey, can we write a few more citations? But, you know, there's so many things. Everybody needs to be on the same page. But we do recognize it's winter. However, we know that when the summertime comes and the spring comes, we hopefully can have more focused on the quality of life crimes.
About a minute left. Tell me about 2025. What, you told me about the first, second, and third quarter. In the fourth quarter, what do you want to focus on? Like, what's the key right now for 2025?
Well, look, we feel we have a good foundation laid. We have to continue to get better. We have hired a number of lawyers. We have to train these lawyers.
Okay.
And it only takes time. We're now looking at how we look at our data, do what we do with our data. We're having a data audit, understanding all those issues so we can better understand what's going on. And it's the training, it's to continue to hire, continue to strengthen, and only strengthen our relationship with our partners across the board to make sure that we can service all the residents of Baltimore City better.
Sure, and you make sure you went digital. I remember that was something that was
Yes.
big for you, and I'm
Yes.
guessing that's been a help.
Yep, all of that has helped. So we're really moving in that direction. We want to make sure that we are just a click for anybody to understand what's going on in Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office.
All right, I wish you well, sir.
Thank you.
Good to see you.